Hello everyone. As the title of the video suggests, I'm going to talk about responsibility. Responsibility. Now, I quite don't remember where I got this idea from. I think it was from a book that's called The Seven Habits of Really Effective People by Stephen Covey. I think that's his name. Don't quote me on that. I think he talks about that exactly about responsibility. He literally does like responsibility, where he teaches a really interesting concept about responsibility, which is basically responsibility is your ability to respond to a circumstance, to a situation, or to things, basically, right? And that actually made a lot of sense to me because I used to think that responsibility meant doing the right thing or doing what was what was supposed to be right. But after like that definition, my mindset changed because now responsibility isn't like doing the right thing, it's the ability to respond to things, right? Because I used to have that definition that responsibility was like doing the right thing, right? And I used to get confused when like one of my influences, which is Jordan Peterson, or people who said something like, "Take responsibility for your life." Like take responsibility for your life. Take responsibility for yourself. Like act like treat yourself as if you were someone you're like supposed to help. Things like that. Or like or be responsible. Like in school, it's like be responsible or like be a responsible citizen or stuff like that. And it really didn't make any sense to me because well, for me, what I thought they meant was like do the right thing always. That's what I thought they meant, although I wasn't really sure. And now, after reading that book, I think it was from that book. I'm not quite sure. I have a whole view. I have a different view on it now. It's like the ability to respond. So like because recently I was watching a video and it was like, take responsibility for your life. Where responsibility hides, usually there is like a great reward or whatever, right? And I'm like, what does that even mean? What does it mean to be responsible for your life? Like, what does it mean to take responsibility for my life? So I used to like to search this up on like Quora, which is like one of my favorite apps to like look this stuff up at. And there was a guy that was like, responsibility for life is basically basically And basically, it says, taking responsibility for life is understanding that you're fully in charge of your own destiny through your decisions. It means having a clear idea of what you want out of life, having a plan on how to achieve it, consciously making decisions that take you closer to your desires, to achieving your desires. Right? And I didn't quite understand this at first because I thought responsibility meant doing the right thing. So it was like asking me the question, how do I do the right thing for my life? But now, after reading that book, I started like searching these things up, and I just found something like this. It's taking responsibility for your life is understanding that you're fully in charge of your own life. And another answer I read said something like, "Do what you want. Think about what you want from life, not what other people want, but what you want. What would you do if you knew everything was achievable? Dream then. What do I want from my life?" So I think that's responsibility in the purest form. What do I want? Because we have parents. I have parents, right? And most of the times, they want, well, sometimes, not always, but when they do, they want the best for you, right? Which I think is really, uh, I think it's really, I actually think that it's selfish. Why? Because I read a phrase that said something like, your friends want what's good for you, but what's best for them. And even though they're your parents, you might not think of that But let me put it this way: if they truly cared and they truly wanted to give you what's best for you, they would ask you, what are your desires? What do you want? Right? They would ask you, what the heck do you want? What do you want to do? But in my case, or in other people's cases, they don't. They just assume what's best for you, which can say they only want what's good for you and what's best for them. In a way, because they don't really care. They're not really caring about what you want, what you desire. They just want just shove it in you, and they don't want to hear. They just want to talk. So there's no conversation there. Like you're just listening. You can't like they don't even listen. They're like they can't hear. So it's pointless to talk with them. Sometimes, sometimes people have lovable parents. So take responsibility would be in that case, like in a way say screw them. I'm gonna do what I want to do. I want to do a business. I want to start a business. That's an example. I want to start a business. I don't want to study. I don't want to finish high school. I want to drop out. I want to give myself a 1 year where I just find myself and I want to start a business. Or maybe another example would be like, I want to do gymnastics. I want to be a musician. I want to do that and I want to compete at very high levels. So what am I doing? So what can I? And that's what I just tried. Like having a plan. Like what are my goals? What are my desires? What's the plan then? Well, if I want to start a business, how do I start? What are the steps? What can I do? Like, what business do I want? What do I want to sell? Or what am I gonna do? Right? Having the steps and then putting those steps in like order. So you just do, and then you have like goals. Goals are very powerful. Actually, I was reading that the difference between high level people and everybody else was like they had goals, basically. Which is like also I think they had the mentality of the growth mindset, growth mentality where they thought, well, I can improve upon anything I put hard work and my effort into. So yeah, responsibility is that I I used to think responsibility it was doing the right thing, but literally responsibility could be not accepting something. Like for example, someone borrowed like I borrowed somebody's tools, right? And I lost them. Responsibility could be like, yo, I'm gonna go, get you. I'm gonna pay you this favor you did for me, right? I'm gonna buy your tools because I lost them. Or responsibility could also be like, hey, I lost them, but I'm not gonna pay for them, so good luck. That's also responsibility. Otherwise, you would just be ignoring the issue, and that's not responsibility because you're not assuming action over it. But action doesn't have to be correct. It can be wrong. It can be bad in a sense. It could be like, no, I'm not gonna pay for you. I'm not gonna pay for your tools. I lost them though. So yeah, that's also responsibility. That's what I wanted to get to. Like responsibility doesn't have to be like a good thing, because there's people who sometimes don't want to wish the best for themselves. I've met people like this, and they sometimes want to destroy themselves. So they do it by going to drugs, getting addictions, and just trying to destroy themselves. Just like absolute, and that's responsibility technically because they're assuming action over their lives, which they want to destroy themselves. Well, good luck for them, I guess. Also, responsibility could be the opposite. It could be wanting the best for myself, taking care of myself. Right? I take care of myself, and therefore I'm taking responsibility. I'm assuming responsibility, or I don't take care of myself, but it's not gonna be something I ignore. I consciously don't care. I don't take care of myself. That's responsibility. I'm like assuming action. Could be I could do it or I cannot do it. So it doesn't always have to be a good thing. But yeah, I guess that's all I wanted to say. Goodbye.